Mike, welcome. I really appreciate you taking time to do this. I am absolutely thrilled to have you on. You're certainly welcome. Mike and I had a little trouble here. We were going to get this thing going last night. I got a new webcam, fooled around. And actually, when I got Mike on last night, we were going to do a little test run. Well, we were going to try to do the show last night. And he said he was worried that all of a sudden his computer was going to call for updates and it would cut him out. Well, it kind of turned around the other way. My camera wouldn't work. Come to find out, my computer needed a whole bunch of updates. So we are updated on my end, and I think he's good to go.
Yep.
So we will do that.
I had to put my glasses on because everything was blurry.
Yeah. Well, I stack glasses. I'll put one pair on after. If I do something down here, then I got to put two pair on. Just depends on what we're doing. So.
When I'm out metal detecting and find something, my buddy, they used to say, "What year is it?" If it's pointing, and then they just got used to me saying, "I don't know, I can't see it." So I just put it in my pocket.
Yeah.
The date's not gonna change.
Right. Depends how much it shines. Yeah, I dug something up the other night. It was like, man, I better go look at this, So I did that, and had to get extra glasses. But it was I got it right here, Mike. It looks like kind of a locket, but it has it's sacred. I know. I don't know whether this little camera will focus on anything or not, but it has a face, I think, of an angel on it. It's glass,
Yeah.
and I found this at a very old site.
Would it be angel or cherubs?
Well, yeah, I guess I mean the same. Yeah, cherub or angel, cherubim, seraphim, whatever, right? But it came off a real old site. It was on the 1858 map, this site. But I didn't know what it was at first. And I said, man, I got to go look at that. It was gold. It's gold plated.
I have a locket. I really want to show you on here. It's got cherubs on it.
Yeah, I'd love to see it. It'd be super. You can see Mike's detectors back there.
All right. This is a sterling silver locket.
Okay.
Alone.
Dogs.
It shows up pretty good.
Oh my. Yeah, the cherubs, right? Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I found it in a yard at where a town used to be, but there's one house still standing. And I looked that up. That is a 1904 Unger Brothers from New York. And this particular one is called, labeled Love's Dream. So it's a pretty neat locket. And I looked them up online, and I found where they had sold, on the internet, they have sold for over $500.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. So that's a pretty neat find.
Yeah. Mike, now you straighten me out, but if I know the story, you started detecting at 12 years of age. Now I know your age now because you told me, but you'll have to share that if you want to.
Yeah, actually I was 14, but who's counting?
14 was it? So you've been detecting almost 40 years.
Yeah, 40 years this year. Yeah, this year.
So was it a Christmas present, birthday present, or just somebody bought you something and stuck it in your hand?
It was a present to myself. I had a paper route for starters, but on a Sunday I saw a gentleman metal detecting at the school where I went to school at. So I rode my bike up there and talked to him briefly, and I know, knowing now how most detectors really don't like to be pestered too much by kids because they can be pretty annoying at times. I asked him, "Mind if I just watch?" He said, "Yeah, go ahead." So I followed him around for, I don't know, I can't remember how long it was, seemed like forever. And he was finding some odds and ends. And I remember one of the neatest things, back in the parking lot where the teachers parked, it was stone, and he dug a piece of foil out of the ground, and he unwadded that foil, and there was a dime inside that foil. It was a silver dime. I thought, well, that's the neatest thing. So Monday, after school, I had to do my paper route. And I was telling one of the guys on that paper route, see, I got started arrowhead hunting when I was about 9 or 10 with my dad. And I was telling this guy on my paper route, he collected arrowheads also, about this guy metal detecting. He says, "Well, I got one in the attic, I'll sell you."
Huh.
So asked him how much, and he wanted $85 for it. And cool thing is, I'll be able to show you the machine.
Yeah.
So I worked out a deal with him. I get him $70 and an arrowhead of mine that I had that he really liked. So that's how I got started. Now, to continue that story, many years later, I started my career at General Motors, and I became an apprentice, a millwright apprentice. And I was working with this electrician, and he just looked familiar. So I asked him, I said, "Do you metal detect?" He said, "Yeah, I do." I said, "Do you remember a kid many years ago at Oakwood School following you around metal detecting?" He said, "I absolutely do." I said, "That was me."
Oh, for heaven's sake. Isn't that something?
So I got to work with him 2 years later, and then I retired. But when I retired, somebody, I was just looking for it. It's somewhere in this room. Somebody gave me a business card that he had. His name was Ivan Osborne, and he had a Ivan's Detector Sales. So I thought that was pretty neat. But right behind me here in this closet, this old bounty hunter right here
There you go.
was my very first machine.
How old is it?
Bounty Hunter 840 from the early to mid 1980s.
Right.
This one no longer works, but
Oh,
it's just neat to have the machine still here. You know, it's kind of how it all started.
right. I've still got my Radio Shack up there, 1987. Right.
Yeah.
I don't know what to do with it. I actually took it out and did a video with it saying, hey, let's see if we can find something with it. Went up to the park, found a few things. So it still works.
Yeah, that's an old machine. I wish it worked, but it doesn't. I
Yeah.
found a lot with it though. Yeah,
How many years did you use it, and then what did you go to after that?
I used that for I can't tell you how long. I would say probably 5 years.
Uh-huh.
And then I bought the Bounty Hunter 8400, and seemed like I didn't find as much with that machine. And then after that, I bought Technetics Eagle. That was about the same time that the White's Eagle came out. So what was that, about 1990 probably? I didn't find much with the Technetics Eagle either, so I bought a White's Eagle 2 SL. And I used that for a good period of time. I found a lot of that machine also.
Oh, yeah. Now, how old were you when you hit your first silver coin or whatever?
Oh, probably that same year, 14, I would imagine.
Right.
I do remember one of my first coins was a 1865 2-cent piece.
Now, you know my story. I've been at this quite a few years, for an old guy. And
Yeah.
I never hit one. Everybody around me's hit one, not me.
Yeah, and that was one of my first.
Yeah. Lucky you. So, I don't hate you. No.
Yeah. But no, and I don't remember what my first silver coin was. It really didn't matter to me back then. I just liked finding good stuff.
Right.
I liked finding old coins for the longest times. And I remember digging, and it'd be a flat button. I'm like, oh man, just a flat
Right.
button. And I can't tell you how many flat buttons I probably threw out. Now I love finding flat buttons.
Yeah.
Absolutely love it.
They're beautiful, especially the gold ones when you knock them out. Or gold.
Oh yeah.
So you think, of course, first you think, oh, a gold coin, but
And
yeah.
I think they tell a little bit more of a story than
Right.
the coin does, because you can possibly identify, where they came from with that button.
With the back mark and everything, right? Yeah, and one thing I do,
Buttons overseas.
right, and I like to, like I said, I have one site that a lady lived there in the mid 1800s, a little later 1800s, but we started digging up certain things and coins with the dates on them, and of course one question I always had: how long did she live there? Or when did she leave? The newest coin I found was a Wheatie, and I think it was 1914. So it kind of tells you a story that might have been as long as she was there. The
Was
last
it a
thing.
D?
Yeah, yeah. I found some jewelry from her. I assume it was a ring. No, it was a little stone you hung on a necklace. Burl stone, I believe they pronounce it. But it's so neat to find that stuff because if it could talk, you know.
One of the first rings I found, I still have. It was a silver ring, and I found it with that machine there. It was in my parents' yard,
Yeah.
and I brought it in. I showed Mom, and she just started crying. I thought,
Oh no! Right.
So, what it was my grandfather. I never got to meet my grandfather. Her dad. He made that ring for her 16th birthday.
Oh my.
Out of a silver coin.
Right.
And there's conflicting stories here. Depends who was telling it. Mom said she gave it to Dad, and he lost it. Dad said no, she never gave it to me. She lost it. But I'd give the world to have either one of them back in this world today. But anyway, I don't know which one lost, but I know who found it.
Hey, you might do me a favor on that.
And that ring, it's, what is it, maybe a $3 ring at the most, but that thing sits in my safe with my most expensive coins.
Yeah. That might do me a favor on that if it's not hard to get to, or you got a picture of it, it'd make a nice little cover thumbnail picture.
Okay.
Just a thought, if it's not hard.
It would take a little bit to get out of safe. So.
Well,
I know right where it is.
If you feel like it, yeah, that'd be great.
But it's clear over in the other room.
Right. Well, I found my first coin ring this last spring.
Yeah.
It was a British coin, a shilling. And, when I dug it, I thought, what is this? And of course, I took it home, got to looking at it, and you could actually see the date and tell what it was. So, but you found your first coin ring as a boy. That's very very unique. It really is.
You can't tell it was a coin. Everything's smooth on it, but Mom told me he made it out of a coin.
Right. So the details are pretty well going. So the coin was worn when he made the ring?
The coin was what?
Worn quite a bit when he made the ring, or did she wear it enough to wear it out? Yeah.
I don't know what year it was. I think she said it was quarter, but I don't know what year it was.
Yeah. Now you told me you collect coins.
Yeah, I do.
What collections do you have altogether?
I have a complete. Let's just start with the cents. I have complete Indians, complete Lincoln, complete Barber dime, Barber halves. The quarters, there's a couple of them in there. It's pretty big dollars. So I don't have a complete set of those. Complete set of Franklin halves.
Oh yeah.
The Walkers, got a complete set of Walkers. I'm working on a complete set of proof Franklins. I need one more. I need the 50. It's kind of an expensive coin. I just picked up the 51 last week actually. And I think I got the Jefferson nickels. That's a pretty easy one to come by.
Right. I love hunting nickels. I just
Buffalo
love it.
nickels, complete set of Buffalo nickels.
Oh, see, you are set. I know you've recovered three gold coins, right?
Two.
For some reason, I thought there was a third one in there one year. You got the 2.5, right? And then
The first one I found was 2.5.
Right.
And then I found that gorgeous $18.85 one in 2019.
$5 one. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you'd like to have a picture of that,
I would love that.
I can grab that coin real quick and hold it up. If you want.
Well, the only thing is the camera doesn't make a real good picture, but yeah. Whatever's easy, it doesn't matter.
Mine does. But
Yeah, well.
yeah, I can take a picture of it and send it. Maybe I'll take a picture up beside that ring and just send you a picture of it.
We're going to change gears here a little bit. Mike, how many machines do you own? And we already know what your favorite is, but you can tell us.
I really don't have a favorite, to be honest with you.
Okay, I just always thought, Deus.
Well, and see, I had the Deus and the Equinox 800, and I like them both equally.
Isn't that something?
I use them both equally. I always have them both with me, and they do find one spot I hunted heavily with the Deus. I went back in with the Equinox and pulled just a few more things out of it. So
Okay.
they do work a little differently, um, but they're both darn good machines, and I like them equally.
Uh-huh. Now the Equinox is cheaper though than a Deus,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, considerably, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but then I sold the Deus and got a Deus too.
Right. Matt got one, you know. Matt Cordy.
Yeah, that is a group.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I have a really good program in that now. And I have one in there, I call it my test program,
Uh huh.
and I have that running pretty well also.
You take a Deus or your, I'll have to edit this. What was the machine? The Equinox 800. Into the field, and then I'd go in there with my AT Max or AT Pro, whatever. I mean, I hear all kinds of stuff,
Mm-hmm.
but I can only program so much. Now,
Right.
like your Deus or your Equinox, whatever, since I've never used the machines, I mean, I don't know a whole lot about it. But I assume when you talk about settings, you could set that machine so when you get a beep or whatever you get, it's going to be what you absolutely want to dig, like silver, or you can set it up that way. Is that my best understanding? In other words, you're not hearing anything, but when you come up on something good, it's going to go off.
Oh, yeah. And I like to run mine, I like a higher tone for a better target. So, I mean, you can make a low tone for a $50 if you want with
Right.
either one of those machines. But I like to hear a higher tone. But I also like to keep it simple. It has the full tones on the Deus is 99, and the Equinox full tones is 50. Now, I think it gets a little confusing hearing, you know how a number usually doesn't, your VDI usually doesn't lock on to one specific number.
Right.
Depending on how much trash is in the hole or whatever, it could jump 6, 7 numbers and not lock on. So using a full tone, that's 6 or 7 different tones you're hearing, and the mind wants to tell you what could be trash. So I like to have one block of numbers use the same tone. That way, no matter what, it's giving me the same audio, and my mind isn't playing tricks on me.
Yeah,
Okay,
that's all right. Go
I
ahead.
like to hear the iron that's in the ground, so I always run the iron on you.
Let me try to go back to what I'm asking, and I think this is what people really want to know, because so many of us just have entry, not necessarily entry machines, but mid-range machines. A lot of people like the pros. I just always been Garrett. I just don't know anything else. I do have a White's machine now, the 300. Is it MX 300? I think it is, like
I
that.
don't know.
It's got a huge coil. I like it. I really do. But it's kind of a whole different thing. You do a lot off VDI.
Okay.
I don't know. Have you ever used a White? Like,
Yeah, well, not that one. I had a white Spectrum XLT for a long time.
Uh-huh.
Well with that.
yeah. But it's like the VDI comes up, and then you trim back the. So, buying a Deus or one of these higher machines, it's your opinion. I mean, you're obviously going to do better, but you still got to set it up a certain way. And you still got to know your machine. It's like, I don't care what you're out there with. You got to know your machine.
Yeah.
That's the bottom line. But you know in your machine, you're going to hear things probably, well, one, from your experience, and you know how to set that machine to do what you want it to do.
Right.
Whereas, somebody with a lesser skill, might be different. Would you recommend that anybody, after so many years, they say, man, I really love this hobby, go ahead and invest the money in the upper level machines, and they will do better. You would say that, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I would recommend that they run a factory setting, but maybe make them a little bit hotter, because those factory settings are set up to be stable. So tweak them a little bit, make them a little bit on the unstable side, and get to learn that way what the machine is telling you. And then they can go about putting their own custom program in, perhaps with some of the same settings. But I did a lot of trial and error. I did trial and error for 6 months on that dais, taking out and finding things and tweaking and finding more and just learning what the thing was telling me. And after 6 months, I was finally happy with the program I had. But you dig a lot of junk. You have to dig,
Yes.
dig all that junk.
It's harder at my age.
You know what it's telling you, right? Yeah, mine too. But you definitely need to know what it's telling you, and that's how you learn the machine, by digging all that junk.
Yeah. You know, I can't refine my questions very well because I don't know exactly how the machines work. I know it's like Matt Cordy, when he runs his dais, we were out on a site, I don't know, 3 or 4 years ago, and he was talking, he hit a half dime, capped. I think it was 1830s. And he said, I heard it. Now, like swinging an AT Pro or something like that, I mean, I know you're just going to be high tone if you get a good hit. There was just, it seemed like there was something about his machine that's what he heard. He knew what he heard.
Yeah.
He said he barely heard it, but he heard it. Yeah, so, you know, that's a little bit harder for me to understand. I know with a Pro, you know, you get that beep or that higher tone.
Right.
And
yeah, they have their own, what is it, 3 tones you hear, maybe?
Yeah, the iron, the mid, and then the... now a dais runs how many tones?
Well, you can run 99, but I run 3.
3.
One of them is designated for iron, so basically 2 tones are good targets.
Now, my Apex, I like it. You'd be surprised for a $400 machine. It is very unstable, though. You have got to ground balance the dickens out of that thing.
Oh,
You get on a site, it just goes wild, and it's aggravating. But I tell you, when it's on, I mean, I'm digging up little tiny stuff. I'm hearing little tiny, 4, 5, 6 inches. So I know it's not going to, you know, it is a machine that runs, what do they call it, different frequencies all at once. Multi-frequency is the word, right. So, but still, for some reason, I reach in that car, I grab the Pro. Because,
yeah.
you know.
And you know those multi-frequencies, both mine are multi-frequency.
Right.
And they do their thing in the trashy environments. That's basically what they're set up for. Mm-hmm. But I still like to run a single frequency, just because I don't find myself in a position where I'm really needing the multi-frequency much. We don't have mineralization here, so I don't need it.
Right, you're in the mud, pretty much.
Yeah, clay. So I run, try to stay right around 15 kilohertz, 15 to 20.
Right, that's what I run on the Apex.
They're both very stable, and they go deep. You know, that's pretty good deep frequency without going too deep and picking up all the irons. So.
How do you get on sites? I mean, you just introduce yourself.
Yeah, you know, first you do the research.
Right.
I try to get on as old a site as I can.
Right.
And that might be looking at 3 or 4 different sets of maps for a county.
Okay, what do you have usually look at? What years do you have available?
Well, my particular county I live in, I can't go any older than 1892 for.
Oh yeah.
That shows house sites.
Right.
But I can go back to 1866 in the county just to the north of it.
Right.
So
Defiance County.
Yeah.
Yeah. But you've done well. I mean, as far as virgin sites, most of the places you go haven't been detected.
Right.
Now, see, that is it's not true here. It's just.
Yeah, you know, last year I found 43 large sins. That's just unheard of around here for me.
Yeah.
But find the sites, look up who owns them. I like to talk to them in person, but sometimes I'll make a phone call.
Yeah, it's.
For the most part, they're pretty they accept my proposal and have at it. Occasionally, I don't want anybody out there. That's fine. Go on to the next one.
Right. You don't leave those big holes.
No.
Hey, there was a farmer I saw that did it. He said, man, these guys came in, they just dug big holes in the back of his field.
Yeah.
Terrible.
It might sound silly, but I even fill in my holes in the field.
Well, of course.
A couple different reasons. You know, farmers like that. Plus, you don't have somebody driving along and see a bunch of holes out in the field, and they say, "Hey, somebody must have been metal detecting."
Yeah.
And they go out there without permission, and then we all get in trouble. So.
Right. Yeah. And that's what happened to our city park. You know, kids would come in, tear up the ground. Now we were not allowed in.
Yes.
So yeah, right. It gives the hobby a really bad name. On the beach, I'll fill in the holes on the beach.
Yeah.
I've seen guys go on the beach, they just leave holes. I said, that's not hurting anything, but it looks like you don't care.
My opinion, it takes more work to dig the hole than it does to fill it in. So if you leave a hole open, you're just being a slob about it and being lazy. So.
Well, I was on site one time. Guy left a hole open. I stepped in it, turned my ankle. Because it was just in the woods, and well, I stepped in it. I mean, it's going to happen. You got 3 or 4 guys out there, and somebody's not paying attention. But what is your ultimate find on your bucket list? Everybody always wants to know that.
The one thing I want to find that I haven't yet is a 20-cent piece.
Oh yeah.
You know, you're only looking at 1 or 2 years you're going to find. I'm on all the right spots. I haven't ever found one though.
Yeah.
I've found a lot more things than I figured I ever would, but a 20-cent piece isn't on there. So.
Yeah. How many unmapped places you've ever found?
I mean, what?
Unmapped house sites?
I've probably got a couple dozen, and one of them turned out to be a really, really good site 2 years ago.
It was a house or maybe like a trading post? Or
I think it was a trading post or a cabin.
Isn't that something?
And nothing is any newer than 1835.
Oh my God.
And I got close to 20 coins out of it.
Mike, I want to thank you so much for joining us today. It's been a real privilege. I hear there might be some news in the treasure hunting community coming out that's pretty big.
You know, yeah, I might know a little something about it.
Might know? Okay, well, you don't need to say any more right now. Okay. I'm kind of excited about it. I'm glad you shared it with me. So there we go. Right on. Yeah. Hey, we'll try to have you on again some other time if you'd like to.
Oh, absolutely.
Mike's part of the our group with Drama in the Dirt. He posts there. Always super finds. More power to you, Mike.